Hey guys, Sam Partland here from DigiSearch, and today I'm going to be showing you a nice little Excel template that I've put together that essentially produces a nice 4-page SEO once-off report for clients for us. So it's going to pull in our keyword research and some ranking data along with top competitors within the niche, and also establish where the opportunity lays for a client. At the end of it, we're also going to get a nice little keyword dashboard out of it that a client's able to actually click through and gather their own insights from their keyword research. So looking at the report that we're going to be able to generate, here's the first sheet of it, which is an overall keyword market analysis. So this is what I like to see as a search market analysis. You can see here that on the left-hand side, we've got the top subcategories for the niche. And then on the right-hand side here, we've got top locations. So we can really see what words people are using within the keyword research and easily graph it for the clients. And then here we've got the 6 primary categories that I've established here, split out by some of the top keywords there, just to give a quick overview of the language that some of the searchers are using. So you can see here car hire versus car rental versus rental cars towards the bottom. So it does give the client a quick few insights here that they might not have known already. Going through to the second page here, I've got the estimated traffic for the keywords. So looking at the rankings for all these different sites through the whole keyword set, we're able to establish this estimated traffic based on a click-through rate model. This is pretty much exactly what SEMrush does, just we're doing it ourselves. So here we can see the estimated traffic overall. So we can see that for this car rental piece, we've got Vroom Vroom sitting in pretty much #1 spot here, almost more than double the estimated traffic of the nearest competitor of Drive Now. And so this kind of establishes the overall marketplace and who's sitting where out of the top 20 odd places. Then coming down, we've got these top sites broken down by category. So we can see car, that Vroom Vroom is absolutely dominating. But then once you move on to truck, you can see that Vroom Vroom has less than 1/10 of budgettrucks.com.au. And so it really shows where these sites sit within the categories. Coming over to the next page, we've got a keyword performance snapshot. So this is kind of like a ranking report, but more of a once-off thing rather than an ongoing one. So the idea would be that you could pull your rankings once, you give the client the report, and that's done then. We can go on to keyword rank tracking further down, but this report is meant to be just a once-off. So we've got the primary categories broken down by their estimated traffic, but then the share of max. So if they were #1, for instance, the maximum opportunity they might be able to get is 20% or so. So this percent is the share of that 20% that would be available to them. And then same with locations, it's breaking down some of the top locations there and just showing you whereabouts they sit for it. And then down here, we're just breaking down the rankings at actual keyword level, just to give a quick overview of the different top keywords and where the client ranks for them. And on this last sheet, we're establishing the opportunity for the client. So here we can kind of see if they were #1 versus where they are. So if #1 is working on the click-through rate model, if they were ranked #1, and then the current is their current estimated traffic, and then the percent share of #1 is that percent I was talking about. So how close they are to reaching maximum potential if they were #1. So this is a quick insight for that client to work out what categories they're not optimizing properly for, what locations they might be missing out on, or even what keyword types or keyword modifiers they're missing out on. So for the website I was looking at for this report, you can see that, yeah, they're doing well for cheap, they're doing well for comparison-based terms, but then moving in one way, they actually have pretty much no visibility there, only 10% share there. But then coming up to deals and companies, they're doing pretty well again, and then just kind of trails off again. So you can really show the client where their opportunity lays so they can put more of their investment there. And so that's the 4-page report we're going to be looking at. And then there's one extra thing we can get off the back of that. And that is this keyword dashboard I've built. So this is all the keyword research categorized together in pivot tables. and then brought together with Excel slices so we can actually break up the data and get better insights. So you can see here on the left-hand side, I've got keywords by location, I've got keywords by subcategory, and then I've got the top vehicle types. And so what I could do is I could click on Melbourne here, and what's going to happen is that's going to expand out and have all the Melbourne keywords under it. Now, say the client might want to look at, say, Melbourne keywords, but then they also want to see just, say, four-wheel drive keywords for Melbourne. All I have to do at the top here is click four-wheel drive, and this is going to filter it to just four-wheel drive keywords. And so you can see here that since we expanded Melbourne, that's going to stay expanded, and you can see the top 7 odd keywords that I've found there that relate to four-wheel drive and Melbourne. So it gives the client the quick knowledge there that 4WD hire Melbourne is better than 4x4 hire Melbourne, and it's better than four-wheel drive rental Melbourne. So it's a nice quick insight for them to be able to see themselves as to why you might be targeting certain terms. So if I clear this filter in the top right, the same goes here with our secondary or subcategory. If I want to just look at, say, cheap related terms, I can click cheap. I can then come back and expand upon Melbourne, and it's going to have all the cheap based terms. Cheap car rental, cheap car hire, cheap car rentals, etc., etc. And same with moving van hire, moving truck hire, it goes on. So you can really get some good insight out of this sheet. Now this is all being built off this Excel sheet. So that report was being generated from these first 4 tabs of the Excel sheet. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we've got the dashboard. But it's all coming out of this keyword raw tab. So this Excel file is around 20 megabytes. And the reason for that is it's got over 140,000 rows of data here. So 141,074 to be exact. And I think that's across around 10,000, 11,000 odd keywords. But then those 11,000 odd keywords have the top 10 rankings for them, which I've actually grabbed from SEMrush for this one. So it's obviously that amount of keywords times the top 10 times another set that doesn't have the rankings, which you'd see up the top here, where it's got the none. And then all this data is being categorized. So for anyone that has seen one of these Excel sheets I've created, I use this magical formula that basically categorizes it all for me based on words that are found in the keyword. So here's the categorization here. So looking at primary, you can see that 121 car hire is being categorized as car. And that's using this lookup formula, and it's looking within this primary table. So it's looking for what's in the left-hand side, and when it finds what's in the left, it gives it the category that's in the right. So this one's looking at 121 car hire, it's finding car, it's giving it the category of car. So that's being done in bulk across those 140,000 odd rows, and it's being done 4 times for primary category, secondary category, location, and brand. So out of this, I'm also able to see keywords that are branded 121 car hire. I can see the ones that are branded as able car hire, etc., etc. And then over here, you can see the domain URL rank. So if I scroll down a little bit for you guys here. So you can see here that we've got newcastlerental.com is ranking with minibuses_1. It's ranking in first for minibus hire Newcastle. Now, this keyword has 70 odd search volume based on Google's keyword tool, and it's ranking first. So you can see here that the estimated traffic is 31.6. So that is based on a click-through rate model that is set up here, like I mentioned earlier. And this click-through rate model is actually assigning 45.2% to that top tier position. So you can modify this and change up the values as you see fit, but this is the model that was being used for this. And so out of all that, we got that 31.6 number. So when you first download this file, the majority of this data won't be here. You won't be getting keywords off me. You won't even be getting these categories off me. This will all be up to you to fill out and up to you to guide based on your keyword research. But what will be there are all the templates. What will be there are all the tables, the formulas. Everything will be set up for you, so it is plug and play. All you have to do is fill out your research, fill out your categories, and hopefully all you have to do is just refresh. Now, there might be some issues when you update it. Excel has a little issue where it might come up saying the data cannot be found. Now, if that does happen, what you're going to have to do is come down to the table, the pivot table here. Now, if I unhide these rows, you're going to have to click on it, and then you're going to have to come up to here and go to Analyze in Pivot Table Tools. Now, there's a Change Data Source here. Click on that and then go Change Data Source. Now, this might be a file reference to my computer or another computer that's been the source of the file originally. What you have to do is change this to match your computer. You should just be able to delete this and go raw and click OK. And that looks like it worked for me, so it should work for you. And that's because this table name here is actually raw. But the way Excel works, unfortunately, when this sort of sheet gets shared, it might go a little iffy and go wrong for you. But essentially what you're going to have to do is just plug in all your keywords. Paste in your keywords here, paste in the keyword search volumes, paste in your rankings. You can just use your clients' rankings. You don't have to do a full market analysis. If you don't want to, you can just delete or hide the top sites tab if you want. So yeah, paste in your rankings. The estimated traffic should automatically update. Fill out your categories. So go through your primary, your secondary, fill out your location keywords, fill out the brand keywords if associated. And then of course, update the CTR model if you don't like the numbers that are there. I reckon this CTR model is very similar to what SEMrush used. I think it's from a study from years and years ago, and I quickly matched it up with the SEMrush data I was seeing just to see how it compared, and I think the first couple actually matched up exactly, but it's up to you how you want to change these. Yeah, fill in all your data, and then you're going to have to come through each tab and clean some up. Update your logos, update your titles and that. But then your categories that are used. So you can change your categories. So once you fill this in, you're going to have blank pivot tables. You're going to have to add in your own filters here. So this is just a pivot table with 3 filters set. So brand being generic, because I don't want brand keywords being mentioned here. Domain being none, so it isn't pulling in a certain domain's keywords. It's looking at the full list, which would be the generic stuff or the no ranking stuff. And then it's looking at car, which is up here. Now, if I change that category to say minibus, the header will actually update because it's referencing this cell and just updating as need be. So that kind of makes it a little easier with your template. So we'll just set that one back to car. And moving on to the top sites. So like I was saying before, you don't have to use this tab if you don't want to. You can just delete this tab or hide it and use it at a later date. But for this, you are going to need your ranking data for multiple sites. So you could just choose to pull ranking data for 5 sites. You could choose to pull ranking data for 70 or 100 sites. Or you could pull data from SEMrush's API. And what you can do with SEMrush's API is pull the top ranking URLs for a set of keywords. So the big caveat here is that SEMrush is obviously missing keywords because that's just how their database works. So if you're going to be pulling from SEMrush, so that you don't waste a ton of API credits, make sure you've done your research with SEMrush so that you've only got keywords in here that actually match what's in their database. Make everything a shitload easier later on, but that's a good way to be able to easily pull the top 10 rankings. I think I pulled all the data for here, so 140 odd thousand rankings. I think that costs about $50. So considering you could sell this to a client for what could be a couple grand for a once-off report and then the insights you get off it, $50 is kind of like a drop in the ocean kind of thing. So definitely good value. But again, when you are updating this, your chances are a few things will be broken. So these graphs are driven off the data on the side here. So you can see there's the top domains there. So you might have to update a few things. But then we can come down here, you unhide all your rows. And what you can see here is the category filters that are set on the pivot table. Coming over to the rankings overview. So exactly the same thing, just unhide here, update what needs to be updated. It should still mostly work. You're just going to have to change your filters around. So for this rankings here, you can see I was using the domain of Europe car. So I could easily change this to any domain I wanted to. And I could even pull the rankings for another domain that was in the report. So if I didn't like Europe car here, what I could do is say, where's vroom. Okay, there's a few rooms there because the way the data's been pulled, but there we go, .com.au, click OK, and that'll instantly update the graphs to reflect vroom. Well, the graph on the left anyway. So if I wanted to do that for the rest of them, I could just come over here, .com.au, and .com.au. And that should update those two graphs to specifically be for vroom. And same thing with these rankings. If I wanted to, I could just change this to vroom. And there we go. So we can see number 1 for car hire, but at the time this ranking data was in SEMrush, they're number 9 for car rental. So a massive difference between those two keywords. And then the last tab here for the report is the opportunity. So again, you're just going to have to update these tables on the right-hand side, and then the graph should update. So, and I didn't mention with the other ones, but you can just add your comment here. There's nothing special here. It's just for you to throw in some text if you want to. Otherwise, just remove it from the report. You can relatively easily do some auto-generated comments here, but I mean, it's a lot better to do a manual comment based on the effort that would have gone into the research already. And then coming over to the keyword dashboard. So when you first actually get this file, chances are this is going to be almost completely blank. So you are going to have to completely update it yourself. You should have the slices there. You should have the pivot table bases there, but you are going to possibly have to drag in your categories if you rename anything. You have to drag in your subcategories. You have to drag in your vehicle types. But have a play and see how you go. You should be able to relatively easily fill it out. And so, yeah, I hope you enjoy the file. We'll probably go into a more in-depth tutorial on how to actually build one of these yourself at a later date. But for now, get stuck in, throw in your keywords and kind of see how you go. Post any comments under the video and I can certainly jump in and help you out. And I'll be able to bring in any additional tips that you need into future trainings. Thanks for watching my video and I hope you enjoyed it.